Hello and welcome to Bonga Dada Bonga
Bonga
episode
dada bonga, bonga
2.
dada bonga, bonga, bonga.
Yes, so excited that you could join us today. I think from the time we started episode 1, we did not envision we'll get to this point, but we thank God for offering us an opportunity to get to episode 13, an episode that we are looking at Kenya campaigns in 2022 and the elections we want. Tonight, we are so delighted that you could join us. And we hope that in the next 1 hour, you'll get to learn a lot more about our theme tonight. I think every Kenyan is looking forward to dispensing off with the elections and the campaigns that have been happening for so long and going back to their normal duties, getting back to their usual routines. And so we can't wait. It's just 4 days to the general election in Kenya. But before I proceed with the discussions of tonight, I'd like to remind you that Bonga Dada Bonga is a platform that gives women voices that comes to you every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. East African time, and we are glad you're joining us from across Africa. You have different timing across the globe. You have different timing, but we are glad that you could join us. Allow me to introduce a very important person who is joining me today in the show. Is my co-host, Rose. She shares a name with me. Rose Carroll works to build independent media and support Africans in telling their stories freely. So please welcome Rose and introduce yourself.
Thanks, namesake. Could get a bit confusing here. Two rows, rows, rows. But thank you very much for that introduction, that very generous introduction, Rose. And as always, it's my pleasure to be here. I am a journalist. I've worked in the media and in civic tech organizations that address media concerns. At the moment, I'm doing fact checking. And of course, we're doing a lot of fact checking around misinformation, a lot of misinformation around women standing for
Yes.
election, aspirants, a lot of targeting with malinformation and trying to shame them and embarrass them into giving up. But we're proud to say that they've stuck it. A lot of good women out there, and we're hoping to see some of them elected. So that's a little bit about me. As I said, I work for Fumbua Kenya, which is working on misinformation and disinformation around the elections.
Well done. Thank you very much, my namesake. And I'll be your host tonight. My name is Rose Mwaura. I love doing this, engaging and networking around. There are ways of networking even online. There's a nice laughter from behind there in the studio, and it's one and only Professor Dasha Nabaking, who will come by introduce herself and give us a little bit background about Bonga Dada Bonga. Professor.
Okay, thank you, Rose. That's right, the name is Bonga Dada Bonga. This thing got it started during Women's History Month 2022, when the theme for Women's History Month was Break the Bias. So we invited lots of women from around the globe to the Queen Mother Speaks show, which is another platform, to talk about what biases were they experiencing or what biases did they know that women were experiencing. So as the women began to speak from different countries, by the time we got to the women in Kenya, they were asking, what's going to happen to us during the election? Remember, this is back in March. What's going to happen to us during the election? And there was not very much I could say because I'm a foreigner, and foreigners basically don't get involved in politics when they live in foreign countries. But I kept getting the question. So finally, I said to myself, well, Lord, what am I supposed to do? Why are they asking me? And the question that I heard in my own spirit was simply this: you have a platform, use it. And I said, that's right. That's right. So then I began to call on women that I knew to say, hey, listen, I've got a platform. And women want us to speak up and speak out, and they want other women, they want Kenyans to know what's happening with them, what's their platform, and why they want to run. So we started Bonga Dada Bonga. And that is the story of Bonga Dada Bonga. Back to you, Rose.
Well done, Professor Dashanaba King. Thank you so much for offering women in Kenya a platform where they can share and have their voices heard. It is important to give women an opportunity, women on the seat in the boardroom. And so this is what we do here at Bonga Dada Bonga. And we are glad we're in episode 13. Today, we are so delighted that we've been joined by a gentleman. Not only a gentleman, he's a TV host, a digital content creator, accredited journalist, a voiceover artist, a political journalist, and the list is long. He's joining us on Bonga Dada Bonga tonight on episode 13 to weigh in on what we have learned from the Kenyan campaigns, which have been going on for some time. But before he could delve in the topic, allow us to let him introduce himself. And we have Eugene OCHIENG joining us tonight to have a discussion on very important thematical area of the campaigns in 2022 and the election we won. Kindly introduce yourself, Eugene, and as you introduce yourself, share your experience and observation during the campaign period. Over to you, Eugene.
Okay, first of all, I'm very grateful to join here on Dada Bonga Dada. Of course, I'm a journalist, just as you mentioned earlier. Well, my name is Eugene KWACH. I'm an actor. I'm a voiceover artist, political journalist. I am an academician, amongst many other things. Well, first of all, I believe the elections of 2022, like any other competition, to both ladies and male contestants, I can say luck will depend on the preparedness of each candidate. For as it is called, and they say that luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. So for those who are prepared, then they'll count themselves as lucky. I also take this chance to wish all the contestants all the best, and particularly lady contestants, who for the unprecedented way have come out in large numbers during daring their male colleagues, and of course giving them a run for their money. We have very many serious, devoted young people who are energetic, the youth, and now more than ever, they're coming out. They also are seeking for elective positions. And I'm saying that why not? We should actually try them if they are. And I'm actually asking the Kenyan voters this time that the elections that we are having now, we are going to have in 2022, should not be based on gender, should not be based on tribe, but should be based on merit. What are these people? What can they do? It should be based on track record. What do we have here? I don't want, or I'm anticipating, whereby we will not be looking at a person based on their gender, but on the track record of what can they do to the people? What can they really offer us? And I think that is what actually we should be looking at here. You asked me a question about actually what we about of course this conversation is about the elections that we have, and of course I'm to share my expectations and observations during the campaigning period. First of all, I know that the show is about enlightening with the women. Of course, it's about women leadership and also echoing the voices of women. Sharing my experiences and observation during this campaign period. Now more than ever, I can say that women voters are more enthusiastic and excited to vote, firstly, because for the very first time in an unprecedented way, I'm saying, in our democratic political space, we are having, out of 4 presidential contenders, we are having 3 of them who have nominated nominated women as their as the running mate. And I think that to women is is a plus actually. Many women have come out, and of course they're happy to this. And and secondly, we have so many women coming out to vie for elective positions. Earlier on, we have had women only waiting to be nominated in positions. And of course, I believe that this time round, we have had so many women coming out, and these women are not playing like they're really going for it. They're giving men a run for their money, and I think this is quite much exciting. But one thing that has come out quite clearly still is that the elections that we are having, these are elections whereby, you see, elections are here so that we can choose the leaders that we want. But we are seeing youths do not learn. They are being used still, uh, being given money. Now the question is whether these youths or these people who are being given money, are they going to choose or elect leaders based on what on how deep the pockets are? And now this is quite alarming. Now that is a question that actually we will we will actually ask the youth and even the Kenyan voters. These are actually a very pertinent question that should be asked to the Kenyan voters, even as we're heading to the next general elections. But all in all, it's quite much interesting the confidence that women are bestowed upon themselves by coming out in large numbers. And of course, I implore the voters to consider the women vying for different positions, give them a chance to be heard and possibly be elected in the office. That is actually my experience and observation during this campaign period. Thank you.
Wow, that's really amazing, Eugene. And you brought the issue of youth and what has been happening around a lot of young people being used. And from our last episode, which I'm glad my co-host here, Rose, was hosting, she was engaging youth and the young people in terms of the experiences in politics. Probably before we play the video, I would like to bring back Rose so that she can bring back some of the memories from the interviews that she's had with the youth, because this is what she's been focusing on for some times back. And based on what Eugene is saying, that's your opinion, Rose?
Yeah, it was a very interesting conversation actually with the young women. We spoke to women aged under 30 who are running for political office about their experiences, about what young people are saying and how they view the elections. And one of the threads that we've heard from the electoral body, the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, is that youth are not registering, and a lot of them seem to be expressing a lot of apathy around elections. We asked these women what's going on, why are they so discouraged, and of course they repeated the disappointment of previous elections, that it hasn't made a difference to their lives. A lot of them not languishing and not really seeing a future for themselves in Kenya as it is today. And so there's some sort of disconnect. But what was also very interesting for me, um, they brought up a very strange issue at the time. It sounded very strange when they said that the lines are too long. And we began to ask ourselves, have we modernized our election process to meet the way in which youth communicate and which fits their lifestyles? But I think the dominant thing is that they want to see themselves reflected in the development agenda, their needs, answers to their concerns, and they haven't seen that as yet. So we're still going to have the disappointment of youth not showing up, even though they're the majority in the country. And as Professor KWACH says, this may explain why they're available for,
Yeah,
causing problems. They're not being engaged.
yeah,
They don't feel engaged, and they don't feel that elections are of any use to them.
yeah,
So we hope that they won't cause any trouble, and we urge them not to.
yeah.
It's their own country and their own future that they will be disrupting.
You're right. You're right. And it's amazing. I think the political environment needs really to understand the dynamisms that comes with the youth, which we are also experiencing in the corporate world. You have to be very careful when you're engaging the young people, and especially below 30. You must understand and keep up to their pace and speed. And I'm speaking this because we have quite a young workforce in the industry, and we have really to understand how do we engage the youth. And I say this before we jump into the conversation further. I'd like Professor King to bring in an interview that she did with one of the aspirants, Jane, who is vying in Laikipia
Hello.
County.
How are you today? Welcome to Bonga Dada Bonga. Bonga Dada Bonga is a new platform for women's voices, and I am your reporter for today, Ella Dashanaba King. And what we're doing with Bonga Dada Bonga, it is a platform for women's voices, and we are actually covering Kenyan women in politics. And so today we've been running around to catch up with a few of the women to ask them how are things going for them out there on the road. So with just 2 weeks, we just not even 2 weeks. I think it's more like 11 days before the election will actually take place. We want to find out from these women some of their thoughts on the Kenyan politics and also find out what's happening on the campaign trail. Today we have in the Bongadada studio a young lady, a very beautiful young lady. All right, her name is Miss Sherine, and she is running for MCA. All right, she's running for MCA, and we want to find out about how is that going for you. Welcome to the Bonga Dada Bonga studio, my dear, and we thank you for taking time out to meet with us today. So, can you tell us a little bit about your county?
Okay. So I'm Sherine Chemati, Mount Elgon constituency, Cheskaki ward. I'm vying for MCA seat for Cheskaki, and people here in Bungoma they like farming.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
what I
So
can say.
now, Honorable, why did you choose politics?
I chose politics because I love politics. Since I was young, I just love politics.
Hmm. Any other reason other than liking it?
Uh,
Like, for example, maybe you wanted politics because there was something you wanted to do, something you wanted to show, something you wanted to prove or add value to. Let me ask you this question. When you
okay.
declared that you would vie for office, how did your
Uh,
family feel about that?
uh, they they did not believe it, but they they accept and they were very happy for me.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, they were very happy.
Very well. Have you received any support from your family and as well as your community and your party?
Yes, yes. I've received support from my family, especially my parents. They have really supported me.
Mhm.
My community, they have supported me well. Even my party for Kenya, they have supported me. And I'm really happy. And I am going to make it.
Mhm. Very well. Okay. You know, women are underrepresented across all levels of power. And I want to ask you, what challenges have you faced in running for office?
So many challenges, especially as women. We have
Hmm.
finance first, challenge finance, and the abuse. Like you women, you your work is in the kitchen, not in politics.
Mm-hmm. I see. I see. All right. That was a call coming in. I thought it was someone calling in to ask you a question. All right.
Okay.
So so are you saying you have faced a few challenges or you have not?
Yeah, like finance.
Okay. Okay.
The main challenge is finance.
Okay. Very well. What do you perceive as a means to solve the issue?
Sorry?
What do you What do you see as a means to help you with your finance? How do you think that can be solved?
Okay.
In other
If I
words, uh-huh,
friends like you can support
uh-huh,
me well,
okay,
yeah.
okay. All right, very well. With the election being just a few weeks away, what message would you like to give your constituents right now?
Like in my constituency, I
Yeah,
just
what? Yeah, we're a few days, we're 11 days away. So what message would you like to give your constituents right now?
to preach peace.
Okay.
Yeah, peace. Let's do our politics in a peaceful manner.
Uh-huh.
Let the voters come and vote in a peaceful manner.
Okay, very
Yes,
well.
yeah.
Well, thank
That was Sherine Chemtai from who is vying for a MCA in Mount Elgon. And if you've picked from what she's trying to say is that finances has become one of the biggest challenges, and I think we've also observed this from the conversations that we've had at BONGADADABONGA, that this has continued to be one of the biggest challenges that has been the young aspirants, especially the youths, have been facing. And I don't know what, Eugene, will be your thought in terms of what can be done better. Is it issue of policy to ensure everyone is playing at a level ground in terms of provision of finances? Because this will continue. Every young aspirant who doesn't have money, and especially women, it's an area that is affecting them. How do they fund their campaigns despite the fact that they have a dream? I don't know what your thoughts are, Eugene, in terms of what could be done better to overcome this challenge.
Well, thank you so much for this question about the financial constraints that are actually affecting those who are vying for various positions. Well, this is an issue that is not only affecting the women and the youth, of course, it cuts across. But the reason why we are actually having a financial constraint, before I talk about the financial constraint and some other ways in which we can ensure that we help maybe the women or the youth generally. I want to say that in our country, politics for quite a while has been seen as a business generally, where you need financial capital. We see politicians, various politicians, they come and pour money during campaigns. You elect someone uh, based on how deep their pocket is. And that is what I said earlier. Some of them go and fail you terribly, and then we take it, start crying maybe after some years of their service and say that we have poor leadership. Well, it is because the Kenyans that we have not come out to know, to differentiate that good leadership is not gauged by how deep your pocket is. And actually, voters must learn to value things that transcend things money cannot buy, where we have love, honesty, and gratitude. We also have other leadership qualities like integrity. These are some of the issues that a person or a people should always be looking at in a what in a leader. And so talking about the challenges and what actually can be done is that of course we know that in as much as we must not look at only money, how deep a pocket is for us to choose a leader, but we understand that money is essential for the operations of political parties, and particularly affects candidates in electoral processes. Well, there are some of the things that actually can be done to ensure that we have we have an easy ground and like a level ground for both the genders, be it the ladies or even the male contestants. We also do this to ensure that there is a level ground in which both the youth and even those people who have been in politics for quite a long while get a level of ground. And first of all, we have political financing regulations. So this is used to actually level the playing field in electoral campaigns. We have they can also work to ensure that women are able to compete on a more equal footing with men. This actually may result in women's increased political participation, which is actually a key feature in the democracy of Kenya. Going forward, we need legislation mechanisms that work to level the playing field between women and men candidates. For example, spending limits. We must know spending limits, disclosure, reforms to public funding that may benefit women. We must also have political parties which must also be involved by addressing this gender issue, more so the financial constraint, by funding by funding even their own candidates. For example, through voluntary non-legislated practices such as internal fundraising mechanisms and in-kind contributions for campaigns. So we have, for example, we have the major parties. We have ODM. We have, of course, we have UDM. We have ANC. If we have candidates coming from these specific parties, we have maybe some coming from UDA, then it should be the responsibility of the UDA as a party to ensure that they help their candidates financially through hosting financial, of course, helping them through financial contributions, so that they can, of course, their campaigns can be effective and be quite much levelized to their counterparts who have been there for quite a while. Thank you.
Yeah. Eugene, you've mentioned about the parties being able to facilitate their candidates, but the requirement is the reverse, that the candidates actually register with quite a huge amount of money. I see the adverts on the daily papers, and I'm wondering, where will I get this kind of money? I don't know what you'd say about that.
Come again, kindly. Registration money.
Yes, it's a high amount of registration money, but from your perspective, is the party that should actually be able to facilitate the candidates. But now what is required is the aspirant to register. Some with it becomes even an obstacle for many young aspirants to even vie.
Okay. So actually what I think, you see, parties have always been a vehicles to propel people actually to the political, actually if they want to make political steps, then the kind of a country that we have, the kind of democratic space that we have in Kenya, is that for you to be propelled somewhere, then you must, they judge you according to the party in which you are in. If, for example, you are in UDA, and of course, there's high chances that if you contest using UDA in Rift Valley, then you're going to do what? You're going to win the ticket. You're going to win the particular seat that you have contested with. And so parties, to ensure that they have people who actually can sustain themselves during campaigns, have therefore brought registration fees. So this registration fees, for example, becoming an MP, if UDA says that they need 50,000 from you as a registration, so that it helps. You see, this 50,000, for example, will also help and sustain the party. But now the question is, we want to assist and help the youth, and we also want to assist the women. So what do we do for the women, and what do we do for the youth as well? Now, this is where the party will now sit and bring in some measures to ensure that youths and ladies who cannot afford such a fee, then there are certain amounts of money that can do what can is given to like they don't provide the whole amount of money. But what my point was is that you see the party in which you are contesting in should take full responsibility of you as a candidate, for as a youth or as a lady. When you've been given the ticket, when you have been awarded the ticket, then actually it is my thinking that the party should now help you in advocate or in actually getting funds for your campaigns. But on the other way, I also think that it is our responsibility as Kenyan voters to ensure that if we have our people outside there, then we campaign for them, we finance them to ensure that we get good leadership. We should not compromise good leadership with the lack of money for the registration. If you, as a community, believe in a person, then it is your responsibility. Because you believe in this woman, because you believe in this youth, if they cannot afford a registration fee, then it is your responsibility. It is my responsibility to help them with their with money, so that they can register and, of course, compete favorably.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Eugene, for your comments.
Yes, thank you.
Rose, okay, all right. Yes, you can come in, Rose, kindly.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask you, Eugene, because I think you're placing a lot of, you're speaking as if these parties work. These parties are actually very dysfunctional units. They pay lip service to the participation of women. They do very little to ensure that the numbers are increasing. So beyond just funding women, we need to, what can be done to ensure that these parties function in a way that encourages the participation of women? We're reading stories of women being intimidated and chased away, their nomination being denied nominations to even in favor of men, being promised that they will be given seats afterwards, even where they have strong potential to compete. So it goes beyond just giving them finance. And then again, also, these parties are given money by the registrar. They're funded. The bigger parties are supposed to be funded.
Yes.
We don't hear how that money is used. We don't know that it is used to encourage diversity of women, of youth, of people with disability. So really, we're talking about vehicles that are actually undermining democracy.
True.
And where do we start to repair that? How do we get these things working so that they contribute to the bigger picture?
Yeah. Yes, I think we have all responsibilities, and especially the parties, to ensure they comply with laws, and especially on policies that have been put in place. If there's funding given, ensure that you support both women and men, because we all want a level playing ground that encourages everyone to vote. Jumping into something else, I think elections, just like any other opportunities that people vie for, they're supposed to help us to progress and even realize our aspirations, just like any other career, but not making us enemies. And of late, we've seen a lot of name calling and blame game, but a number of times also, this has caused us a lot of pain, and especially for women and girls, because I'm not too sure when the male, and I'm sorry, when I hear a male abusing the other one, I'm not too sure if it comes to be what will happen or to the other woman, and especially the young people. And we've witnessed a lot of sexual violence and harassment intimidation, as you mentioned, Rose, which are used to frighten and scare women from participating in political competition. And this has also been a witness from our interviews and conversations that we've been having on this platform. And of interest, yesterday, FINDA released a report listing 14 counties which they've identified as problematic. And 3 counties from the list accounts for more than half, which was recorded on attacks against women during the campaigns. In fact, it is a record of 745 attacks on women aspirants nationwide. That is just between April and June, which were recorded. And this really bothers my mind and say, why women? And so we'd like to hear it from, from the male who is here to hear really, have you witnessed such kind of violence, Eugene? And could you kindly share maybe a bit of experience before I bring in Rose, who has been interviewed quite a number of women, just to share with us what is this report representative of what is happening on the ground even?
Eugene, can you hear us?
Yes, I can now hear you. I'm very sorry, actually. I think it was I had an issue with my connection.
Okay, we see you now on the
Can
screen.
you hear me?
Yes,
Eugene, and my question was in regard to the report that was released by FIDA yesterday, outlining and some of the counties they've experienced some violence against women. And I really wanted you to share your experience, whether it's something that you witnessed on the ground and what could be happening.
Well, we have had issues for quite a long. This is not actually the first time we are experiencing violence on women. I believe that is what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yes. So speaking about electoral violence against women, particularly, let me talk about violence against women. You see, it's not the first time that we are experiencing violence against women. 5 years ago, in 2017, Millie Odhiambo, who is actually one of the is actually a politician who is known. Her house was burnt during nominations. We had ladies like Eunice. We had Eunice. We have several other women like Pasaris. Esther Pasaris, for example, was held hostage by male students at the University of Nairobi when she had gone to actually deliver some lectures at the university. So I actually think that this is something that has been happening for quite a while, and it is something that actually we should, as the authority, actually I ask FIDA and the responsible authorities like the police. I think there's some inaction that they are doing, and that actually is actually making this happen. Actually, this is something that should not just happen, and it is not just happening to the women themselves, the women aspirants like Pasaris and Mili, but this is something that we are actually even experiencing from that is happening with the women supporters. So you realize that some of the women, you see, the way a man can go and get into the campaigns as they cheer their people is not the same way or the same, I can say the same way a woman can just go outside there and nothing happens to them, because actually they must be very, very keen on how they carry outside themselves outside. So actually I think and encourage FIDA and of course the police and the necessary authorities to take action on this, actually, because it's actually affecting our women. It is affecting the democracy, the democratic rights to participate in the electoral process. And I believe campaigns as well is part of the electoral processes. So these are things that we should curtail. We should stop them as soon as now, because we cannot allow such things to happen to our women. Because the society that we are living in is quite a patriarchal society where women have not been given opportunities for quite a long time. Women have been sat on, and their voices have not been heard for quite a while. And I think it is time that women should be heard, women should be supported, women should be given opportunities to be heard. And we, in giving them opportunities to be heard, must ensure that we will not allow uncouth behavior against
Yeah.
our women. Yes.
Indeed, women should be supported just like anyone else. And even as we look forward to the elections next week, and which we are only 4 days to go, we need to look to see a
Yes.
lot of support. And I don't know what, Rose, your take is on this, based on the fact that you've been interviewing quite a number of women who have shared experiences of intimidation and violence. Others, it's even sexual violence. Maybe you can share a bit of that, Rose.
Yes. I mean, I think the thing that came out very clearly is that there is no, and I think Bwana KWACH has mentioned it here.
Yeah.
The thing is that there is no enforcement of the laws that are
Yes.
supposed to protect. There are no deterrents to this. I was very happy actually today to see that the public prosecutor has ordered investigations, ordered the police to investigate some attacks. They were not against women, but I think it's one of the first times that I'm seeing some action against electoral, what?
Officials?
Not electoral, people who have broken electoral laws and conduct. Yeah. Yeah, against conduct, bad conduct during the electoral campaigns. So it's very good. I think we need to see more of that action. We need to see more enforcement. We need to see more surveillance. Like, for example, right now it's FIDA who is surveilling the violence against women. It's FIDA who's recording. Where are the officials? Where are government officials? At what point do they step in and make that their role? So I think we need to see the presence of security forces taking the security of women seriously and enforcing the law to ensure that people understand that it is a violation of people's rights and that women deserve to be protected and to participate.
Yeah.
Without that, I don't think that we will see very much. But I think also at the other level, we still need to do a lot more to address patriarchy in society. All actions stem from somewhere, and unless we address that patriarchy, its expression will find an outlet all over the place, including during our elections.
You're right. I think generally our society is one that really support the male gender, and we've seen a lot of interviews. This video that is going around from BBC on the experiences of some of the women, what they've gone through, and even more of the name calling. You're almost called those bad names if you're in politics as a woman. But speaking of that, of course, that takes me to the next discussion of the two-thirds gender rule, which has remained a mirage. Despite the fact that even in 2017, we saw a very quite number of high women who were elected into positions both in national parliament, national assembly, sorry, and the Senate. And despite that, the fact that was a big number of women, the two-thirds gender rule issue has not been addressed. And other than us trying to encourage more women, we are almost telling women, oh, here is a seat for you. And for us, we are saying, yes, we want that seat, but we want also to be respected. I don't know what you'll be thinking about, and this, I mean, I ask this with a lot of humility to you, Eugene, being a gentleman here. I don't know what the next government needs to do really, if this current government has not done it to ensure that we've attained the two-thirds gender rule. Yes, there are efforts that have been put in place, which we truly appreciate, but enough needs to be done to ensure that in every nominations or appointments, we see a balance. I don't know what your thoughts are here, Eugene, on this.
Thank you so much. Well, two-third gender rule actually has been a challenge. Its implementation is actually a challenge to the Kenyans, and it has not actually been achieved so far. And the question is, what should the government do? Well, you see, the government operates according to the Constitution. Now, let's get to know what the Constitution says about this. Now, the Kenyan Constitution, that is of 2010, has addressed the problem of gender inequalities in Kenya. You see, for it to be addressed in or be put in writing in the Constitution, it means that it is something that has been affecting Kenya for the most years in Kenya's democratic space, and actually it has affected it. And as we know, is that if we need indeed a development in our nation, and not just development, but we indeed need true development, then we must put in two-third gender rule into implementation. The role of the gender in the national development discourse, and particularly sustainable development in Kenya, is actually pertinent. And I'm actually happy that we are having this conversation. We have a framework on how to go about the gender equality question. And of course, it has been brought out clearly in our constitution, in the Articles 27, Article 20, Article 81 of the Constitution, Article 177, Article 98, Article 100 of the Constitution. These are some of the articles that actually bring out clearly what the Constitution, they bring out clearly where the gender inequality have been, and of course these articles in our Constitution are giving us a framework on how we can go about this. Regardless of this, Kenya has not been able to fully implement the two-third gender rule. And this begs the question, where's the problem? Because we are saying that the government should actually work according to the Constitution. It therefore means that there is a problem with our leadership. There's a problem with our leadership. And actually, let me bring in a certain point in. You see, in 2019 census, the population between women and men, most of them were, I think we have majority as women more than men. And we have 75% of actually the population of Kenya as being the youth. And you see, this means that this block is actually consequential in every development, be it and in any way, be it in social way, in political, or even in economic way. So therefore, I actually believe that there's a problem with us ourselves in choosing the leadership. What then can we do actually? So it has to start with us. You see, the question is clear that what can the government do? But you see, the question should not be what the government can do. What actually can I do as a Kenyan voter? We have around 4 days to elections. What can you as a woman do? What can you as a youth do to ensure that we actually have leaders who respect the Constitution? We have a number of, and a series of leaders who have actually, we have seen them, from the president, from the governor, we have senators. If only we could choose presidents, if only we could choose governors, if only we could choose members of county assemblies who respect, and even members of parliament who respect the Constitution, we should not be having these issues. I remember that the judiciary sometimes back had, and of course even some other people had brought in the bill to the parliament so that the parliament itself should be disbanded Why? Because it had failed to meet the two-thirds gender rule, and as a matter of fact, also meaning that they had failed to live up to the constitution,
Yeah.
to the need of the constitution. You get it? So it means that if we have had a court order
Yeah.
asking the Kenyan parliament to be disbanded, yet the parliamentarians themselves, the legislative part of them, don't want to disband the it, or actually, if they could actually give us maybe a two-third gender rule, if they could maintain it, then we could not be having such problems. But why is it that it is so tough for them to achieve this? It's because of the leaders that actually we are choosing. One thing that actually I think that the next government should do, the next government uh, should actually the government is we are the government,
Yeah.
but what the government could actually do is to ensure that they implement these things, and
Yeah.
what the government can do is to work hand in hand and work with the judiciary, work with us, these are the arms of the government, so that the constitution, not just the two-third gender rule being implemented, but there are other things, there are other issues, pertinent issues in the constitutions that have not been implemented to date because of
Yeah.
the kind of leaders, the kind of members of parliament that we have in our nation. And I
Yes.
believe that if we could have a good working relationship between the judiciary, between the executive arm of the government and the legislature, then I believe that we will not be talking about the two-third gender rule. Some of the things that actually that is facing us is that we are living in a patriarchal society where we have men who do not believe in the leadership of women. And
Yeah.
therefore, this is actually affecting and challenging the leadership role of women in our society. And I
Yeah.
think that because we have many women, we have many youths. If the youths and the women could gang up against this system that has been played, but that has been so much against them, then actually they could change the government themselves. Actually, that is what we can do. But if we wait for a certain clique of people somewhere to change this, it might not be possible. That is why, as we're heading towards this election, choose the right leaders. Which leader has indeed shown that they are going to ensure that total gender rule is being implemented? What have they done? What have they put in place to ensure that this is going to happen? Now, that is the question that you, as a voter, as a Kenyan voter, should ask yourself.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
Yes,
responsibility lies on us, you being a
yes,
voter, you being in a
yes.
position to bring a difference. The responsibility lies with us. And I'm glad that there are quite a number of initiatives by several lobby groups for human rights. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
media also has been having quite a number of discussion tonight. Actually, one of the leading media stations, we've seen they are discussing on gendered aspect of Kenya general election, and they're looking at more of what the role of women are. And we just
Yes.
have a few minutes to end, and I'll be saying, since the
Can I just
responsibility,
come in?
yes,
Can I
yes,
just?
Rose. In fact, yeah, I
No,
was
I mean,
coming.
when I coach, I don't. I think that it's a problem when you say that all responsibility again goes back to women to change the society. I think the history of Kenya, independent Kenya.
Uh,
Um,
Sorry.
if we Sorry, I was saying the history of independent Kenya has shown us that when
Yes.
government wants something changed, it actually goes
Mm-hmm.
out to make sure that it changes. And
Yeah.
it requires
Yes.
a lot of civic education, publicity, engagement. You'll find chiefs in the smallest village in the most remote place of Kenya
Yes.
articulating government policy when government wants it. But on
Yes.
the
Sure.
issue of two-thirds, government has refused to do that. They have refused to go there. They have refused to say why. Um, why is it important for participation of all people? And it is actually for the economic benefit. I think if you go to
Yes.
a home today
Yeah.
in any
Mm-hmm.
part of Kenya, they understand the value of education because it is something that has been articulated to them clearly. And now they can see the return in their families of
Mm-hmm.
educating girls, whereas before they never used to educate girls. Even whether you go to Northeastern or Turkana or wherever in this country, girls are being educated. FGM is being addressed. Anything the government wants addressed is being addressed.
Done.
So when we see 2/3 is not being addressed, we know government does not want it addressed. That's my take on it. And I insist that nothing is being done to shift that conversation and to ensure that we move forward in that direction.
Yes, I think I'm glad we are all agreeing that the leadership of the day matters when it comes to implementing the laws and policies of this land. So it is implementing of anything, whether it is your strategic plan, whether it is your work
Yes.
plan, whether it is anything, the leadership matters a lot. And that's why when we don't see things move, we say the buck stops with the leader. And we hope that in next week on Tuesday, we'll be electing the most, leadership that actually they are pro-women and they are pro-development. Speaking about the responsibility of Kenyans, now as we face elections, we have very few minutes to summarize this because on Tuesday, a day like today, we'll be familiarizing ourselves with the new leaders, whether we like it or not. These are the people who have brought into positions, and we'll have no choice, but we can make the right choice now. You can make up your mind now to ensure we have peaceful elections, ensure there's no violence, to ensure that everyone goes and votes and goes back home and wait for the announcement. And even after the announcement, regardless of who wins, then that becomes your leader because you'll have casted your vote, you'll have made the decision. So we live by that decision. And so I will ask each and every one of you, including Dashanaba now, is that what is our responsibility, even as citizens of this country, or even those who are not citizens like Dashanaba here, just to ensure there is peace in this country. And I'll start with you, Dashanaba. We want to hear your view. What's your responsibility even as you're here during this
First
time?
off, we must continue to do what we are doing now. We cannot be silent. You have to speak up. You have to speak out. And even though it may feel like nothing is happening, something will happen, but you cannot be silent. You have to voice your opinion time and time and time and time again. And I commend all of the women who have stepped out onto the platform, knowing that in a week's time, some of them know already that they haven't made it because their name is not on that list that I've heard about. But what we have to do now is to embrace them, to continue to stay in the game because change will come.
Sure, change will come. And KWACH, I can see you're losing your light. Maybe you'd like to go and say what's our responsibility.
I'm quite sorry that this is happening. I say that I visited the village for quite some issues.
It's a good village.
And thank you. So first of all, when you speak about the responsibility of Kenyans, you see, we have the responsibilities of Kenyan voters. That is during campaigns right now. What is the responsibility right now? What is the responsibility during elections? What is the responsibility after the elections? You see, the responsibility of every Kenyan is to maintain peace. However, whatever happens, your responsibility is to maintain peace. We must not allow ourselves to be carried away with politics. You see, this is politics, and things can go either way. You can failure is inevitable, and because failure is inevitable, when it happens, I'm asking that we should not cause chaos. Yeah, we should not actually cause chaos. Let me speak about the responsibility of a Kenyan citizen during this time. First of all, you must ensure that you are going to vote. You must first of all ensure that there are peaceful campaigns, and since this is BONGADADABONGA, this is actually where we're talking to women. I'm asking my fellow Kenyans to protect our women during this hard time, because we have women who actually have we know that we have women who, in as much as being a woman is not a disability, actually let me say this, that being a woman is not a disability, and therefore being a woman actually is it is a blessing on its own way. But because we have seen the many challenges that our women are facing, it is your responsibility as a Kenyan citizen to take care of our women during the elections. It is your responsibility to vote, and it is not just and because voting is not just your privilege but also your responsibility and a duty as a Kenyan citizen. It is also your duty and responsibility to stay informed. You have to stay informed on the kind of leaders that you're going to vote for, not just vote in leaders who will cause us after the elections. You should not do that. You are not being a good citizen if you do that. Community involvement is also another issue. You must involve the community. You, as a Kenyan citizen and as a Kenyan voter, we have to continue involving each other and asking ourselves, talking about these leadership issues. Yeah, we have to practice tolerance during this time of campaign, during elections, and even after elections. Tolerance is very, very key in elections, because we have seen that lack of tolerance took us the wrong path during 2007, 2008 post-election violence.
Yeah.
And so this is something that actually is a virtue that we must have, and not just having the tolerance yourself, but we have to have these virtues and pass them on to our neighbors who may not be who may not have studied, who have gone to school, who just take things in a tribal way. There are people who think that if I'm a Luo, if Raila does not become president, then I have to go to the streets and fight. If I'm a Kalenjin, if Ruto does not become the president, I have to go to the street. No, that is not how things are solved. We have amicable ways of solving issues, going to the court. And also my prayer is to the authorities, is the Kenyan authorities, is that it is their responsibilities as well, that when such cases are taken to the court, it is their responsibility to ensure that such cases are solved in a very transparent way. Why? Because let me give you a case in point. In 2017, when the presidential elections were annulled, actually, if you do a keen study on what happened during that time, you will realize that there was tension throughout. If the elections results were upheld, then there will be another electoral violence. That is according to some of the research that have been done by other political analysts and institutions. And yeah, so it depends also with the court. We have to ensure that the authorities, the police, all these people should be non-partisan. The IEBC, all this authority should be independent. They should not be coerced into doing things that will actually take this country the wrong way. That is actually the responsibility of a Kenyan citizen, the responsibility of the Kenyan authorities as well. They should remain independent to ensure that we are seeing a transitioning of power, a great and a smooth transitioning of power. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow, I wouldn't have said it better. That comes from a gentleman who said we all have responsibilities. I don't know what, Rose, it's your take on this.
Oh, I mean, I think I agree with a lot of what KWACH has said. It's important for us to maintain the peace. It's important for us to turn up and vote. We must vote. We must vote. We must vote. It is it's like the ultimate expression of our patriotism and our care of our country, is that we care about how it is run and who runs it. So I'm hoping everybody will turn up to vote. But beyond voting, let us hold those leaders that come in to the promises that they have made. It is a day-by-day responsibility to urge them to deliver what they said they would deliver. I think very often we forget. We say, well, now he's there or she's there. You know, it's all good. But we still have a responsibility to read those manifestos, to follow up on it, to keep the timeline that they promised, find out what's going on, and if there's a problem,
Yeah.
and really just to participate as much as we can in the running of our small neighborhoods and our bigger society as a country.
Wow, how time flies. And now we've come to the end of this show. Remember, this show comes to you every Thursday. So we'll be meeting next Thursday, 7 p.m. East
Yes.
African time. But that time we'll have our leaders in place, just as Rosa said. And our guest speaker today is like, hold people into account, be
Yes, but
accountable.
actually,
Yes,
even as we are ending this show, there is something that actually must come out clearly. And
yes,
that is on the issue of the youth as well. You see, I
yes,
cannot finish. You see, I'm a youth, and I cannot. I may not like to end this conversation without talking to the youth, which is actually a very consequential block in these elections. You see, the intentions of the politicians, in most cases, has not been quite genuine with most of the youth. And the question that we are asking is that what can we do to ensure that the youth that we have today are going to be good leaders of
yeah,
tomorrow?
true.
So, you see, when the intentions of involving the youth are neither long-term nor genuine, then we should consider Kenyan youth equivalent to the human matchsticks. Why do I say this? Even President Uhuru Kenyatta, during a BBI launch last year in Bomas of Kenya, says that the youth are a time bomb, that when misused, of course, you know what time bombs do when they are misused. And specifically talking to this consequential group, the youth, according to the 2019 census, we have the 75% of the Kenyan population is made up of the young people, that is below the age of 35. With such a
Yeah,
number, of course, we are a consequential block in whatever, whether political, social, or economic. Uh,
yeah,
what this block of the youth needs from the country's political elite to succeed and become the leaders of tomorrow is, number one, empowerment, and not gifts and handouts. The political elite should be genuine in their engagement with the youth. You get it? And see the youth for their true worth as the custodians of the country's future. You get it? They
yeah,
should not just look at the youth and think that the youth are just there to earn for political rallies and for votes. No. And actually, I strongly believe that the natural human cycle that governs the role of age will one day hand over the country to the youth, whether the aging political elites will be sitting or not.
well said.
And
And actually, and actually, the quality of a youth will determine the quality of the future of our futures and of the future of our nationhood. This is why, just to paraphrase what President Kenyatta, the youth must be handled with care. Yeah,
Yeah,
because they're actually the future of our country. I also want to say that the youth must discover and constructively apply their power. And of course, as we end this conversation about the youth, there is actually a quote from William Shakespeare, which
yeah,
actually says, and I don't in any way intend to maybe incite anyone, but actually William Shakespeare says that that the power that the youth have, this power actually, he says that the youth is full of sport. Of course, he say age is breadth, is short, youth is nimble, age is lame, youth is hot and bold. Age is weak and cold, youth is wild, and age is tame. I cannot put it any better than William Shakespeare put it. But all I can tell the youth is that they, being a consequential block, it is their time to come out, vote for leaders actually that they think that will take them to other levels. Let them not be crying in the next, of course, in the next 2 years that we have bad leaders. If you will cry of bad leaders, then anyone who is watching this, I want to tell you that it is you who has made sure that that person is there. If you will not go outside and vote as a youth, if you will vote in wrong leaders because you have been given handouts, because of the deeper their pockets are, then
that is a disservice, not just to you, but to also other people and even to our generation. And therefore, it is my humble request to anyone outside there that let us vote in good leaders and leaders who actually will, as youths, inspire us to be great leaders. If we just take leaders just because they have deep pockets, because they can give us handouts, that is short-lived. Let us look at the future. And actually, that is what I can actually tell the youths.
Let me put a rider on that. I'm putting a rider on that. Vote for women. Women will give you, they will look after their children. They will look after those youth. Vote for women, young women, old women, women.
Can I say something about voting for women?
Please, 30 seconds. We must end. 30 seconds.
You see, we are asking ourselves the question. Actually, I don't think the question should be whether we should vote for women or not. I know personally that I will vote for a woman in the women rep position, and I know that I will vote for maybe I'll not vote for a man in the presidential election, because there is no man that is actually vying. The question should be actually, when we ask such a question, it begs the question: is being a woman really a disability? You get it? Being a woman actually is not a disability. So the question should not be whether you're going to vote for a woman, but voting generally, it should cut across. We have certain virtues that we should look at in leaders. Integrity, very keen and very, very important. Transparency. These are things that we should actually look at in a leader. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Mr. Eugene, we will invite you back to the show at another time.
Thank you.
And we will end because we want our viewers to have dinner. Is that okay?
Okay.
It has
Sure.
We will invite you back again.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes.
It has been so amazing. And thank you, Eugene. Thank you, Rose, for co-hosting with me. Thank you, Dashanaba, for being our host. Also, we thank you all for making this show very lively. For me, I'll say, for those who are Christian, let's pray. Let's pray, and we trust God that all will go well, because we know there's nothing that is above God. God is going to see us through, and we're going to have the best leader from the presidential to the MCA. We are going to have the best leaders. Thank you very much all for joining us. All those who are watching from across the globe, we want to thank you. And let's see you next week, same time. This time round, we'll keep time, but we hope the discussions will be as lively. Maybe we'll see another exciting person as KWACH has been today, and we look forward. That time we'll be celebrating. So we wish you well, and let's join next week. Please be keen to follow us on Facebook, Dada Bonga Dada, and also on our YouTube. This has been live on Facebook live stream and YouTube channels of BONGADADABONGA. For us, it's adios. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Put your hands together. Let's all put our hands together like this. All of us.
I'm holding my phone. I'm holding my phone, so I can't. I can just let me try. No, you can't see me, but I'm humble. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, and so it is.
Yes, yes.